thoughtful, one of my absolute favorite speakers that we bring to our event. His name is Amin Toufani. He is the CEO of T Labs and the chair for finance and economics at Singularity University. I know you're going to really enjoy hearing from him now. Please join me in welcoming Amin Toufani. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? It's wonderful to be back here in this room. My wife and I have put all of our life savings into projects that we care about. These include projects like a hedge fund for the poor, or discovering stage 0 detection mechanisms for cancer. All of these projects are done at T Labs, our company. And a while ago, we decided to look at businesses that have grown exponentially in the last 2 decades. The idea was we could take inspiration and learn from these businesses that have experienced fantastic growth, and maybe we could grow our own businesses and nonprofit initiatives exponentially. So we looked at 300 businesses, more than 300 businesses, and pretty compelling patterns emerged. The exponential business model framework is born through that study. So in the next 8 hours, I'm going to walk you through the key highlights from our research. No, in the next 45 minutes, I'm going to share with you about a quarter of the exponential business models that we discovered, plus some underlying principles that are common to all of them. But before we even talk about exponential business models, let's talk about the first exponential innovation. Let's time travel back in history. What do you guys think was the first exponential innovation? What comes to mind? Shout them out. Electricity, pretty exponential. Go further back. What else? Fire, pretty good guess. Keep going. Did I hear marriage over there? Yeah, pretty exponential. I heard wheel as well. I think that is correct. Wheel was truly an exponential innovation. And once the wheel shows up, we see massive transformation in transportation. But here's a question. What did people do before the wheel? Have you ever thought about this? Was it all just drag and drop? Why did it take us so long to invent the wheel? The wheel was not invented until 3500 BC. And I like to think that any caveman knew that round objects rolled. That's pretty obvious. So why did it take so long for the wheel to be invented? It turns out the invention of the wheel was not very difficult. It was actually the axle that was very complicated to figure out. The invention of the axle is that key enabling move that enables this exponential innovation. So as we looked at these 300 businesses and we looked for patterns, we searched for the axle. We searched for that key enabling innovation that unleashed the exponential business models. And what we saw was that the digital twin was the axle. The one innovation that enabled every single model we looked at. Think about any person in the world, any piece of property. Think about any process in our physical universe, and ask yourself whether it has a digital representation. If it doesn't, go capture that, go build it. Chances are you should also recognize that you're sitting on top of what could potentially become an exponential business model. The digital twin is a very powerful concept, and by the way, this also happens to explain the vast majority of disruption stories that we looked at. It turns out almost every disruption story out there is about somebody who has figured out a way to use a new digital twin and come up with a way to basically deliver exponential value. It's pretty remarkable. Now, the moment you have the digital twin, you can apply exponential technologies to it. And this is what unleashes the exponential value delivery. That's what is going to give you the exponential business model. Let's try this formula for a second. I want you to think about a bicycle accident. Think about a bicycle accident. What if we could look at thousands of accidents and create a near-perfect digital twin of the 1 second before a human being falls from the bicycle? A company out of Sweden did exactly that. This airbag inflates in 1/10 of a second. You want to see that again? Yeah. Pretty amazing. How many people believe this is safer than a helmet? Yeah, in fact, it's not only safer, it is 8 times safer than a helmet. And this has been verified at Stanford University and many other locations. What is amazing is, in 1/10 of a second, this thing deploys. And if you're wearing a helmet and you're in a bike accident involving head impact, there's a 90% chance that you will end up with head trauma. With this, it is 2%. Goes from 90% to 2%. Pretty incredible. And Hoofding, this innovation, belongs to an exponential business model class that we call the certainty engine. These are businesses that are using digital twins to protect you from physical, biological, digital, and cyber harm. They're adding certainty against the backdrop of uncertainty in our world. Some of our favorite examples from this category, Hoofding, Discovery Insurance, and Darktrace. Darktrace is a cybersecurity company that uses AI, in fact, unsupervised machine learning, to create a digital twin of the physical structure of your network, of the human behavior using the network, and also the software. It sits there, it watches it, it creates a baseline digital twin of everything that is going on, and it detects deviations from it. And that is how it prevents threats from reaching you. One of our own projects at T-Labs that I mentioned is focused on stage 0 detection of cancer. Because if you detect cancer that early, people tend to not die from cancer. Survival rates shoot up. We call this zeromics. And the key idea here that is beginning to enable us to do this, to create an early warning system, is the fact that we're beginning to be able to create a digital twin of your biochemistry. And over time, by keeping track of what is changing in your biochemistry, comparing it to your baseline, the early warning system emerges very, very effectively. Now, let's try this with something else. If you have a digital twin of the automobile, of course you can create a self-driving car. But it turns out long before self-driving cars show up, this is actually a very useful exercise. A company in South Africa called Discovery South Africa Insurance is in the insurance business, and they sell automobile policies. They did something innovative. They created a telematics unit, and they gave it to their customers. This is a device that creates a digital twin of the car, of the state of the car, and it tracks it in real time. Liesel is a customer of Discovery. She was involved in an accident. But before the accident, her car was equipped with the Vitality Drive sensor. This is a telematics device that Discovery puts in cars. And here she is talking about her accident.
The car behind me hit me so hard I was forced under a bus, and there was smoke everywhere. I tried to get out, but both doors were jammed. I jumped out the back door, and the first thing I did was phone my mom. Whilst I was talking to her, emergency services arrived. The force of my accident alerted Discovery Insure, and they immediately sent help. The paramedic rushed up to me, he grabbed my arm just as I passed out, and when I came to, I was safely in the ambulance.
The vast majority of Discovery customers who are in car accidents never have to call an ambulance. The device, which carries a digital twin of the car, does it for them automatically. But it turns out, the moment you have the telematics device in the car, you can go well beyond creating a digital twin of the car. You can actually create a digital twin of driver behavior, right? Because the device is tracking braking, acceleration, cornering, speed, all sorts of stuff. And Discovery decided to use this information. In fact, they noticed that if you look at driver behavior, it turns out insurance is completely mispriced. It does not reflect the risk of each driver. And then they decided to dynamically price insurance based on driver behavior, which was fantastic. There are people in South Africa who get back about 50% of their weekly fuel cost in refunds because this is dynamically priced based on how good a driver you are. But they went further. They actually provide that digital twin of your behavior to the individual. So you get that feedback loop. And in doing that, they started shaping driver behavior. In fact, they reduced their loss ratio by 17%. For those of you in the insurance industry, you know this is an incredible result. And this mechanism of quantifying behavior and nudging it in